This is the third in a series of recordings from the launch event for Digital Main Street, Toronto on June 13th. This was a panel discussion at the Drake Hotel with 2 retailers and a charitable organization. The moderator was Andrew Cherwenka from Kinetic Cafe. The panelists that day were Janet Wright, the founder of Floor Play Socks, a business retailer in West Queen West, and Laura Jean Bernardson from Fresh Collectives, who has founded a business in Ronsonsales Village. Raveen Gopal is also a manager of administration and technology at the Parkdale Activity Recreation Center. All of these panelists, they will explain how they have adopted technology and how they use it in their day-to-day organizations. This recording was brought to you by Connect for Growth and MediaStreet, who helps engage consumers with merchants and BIAs through their mobile phones.
The whole aspect of this, that there's 90,000 small businesses in Toronto, and that we can all gather around and help the economy, help these Toronto businesses with what we learn from the larger perspective. At Kinetic, we're working with global retailers, with retailers like Aldo, where they have 2,000 locations. But a lot of what we learn in helping connect shoppers with sales associates, with items in the store, with inventory, all of those connection points that we're making for a retailer with 2,000 locations, it's just as relevant to retailers with 3 locations. So we're going to have a few panelists up here that are running Toronto businesses, and we'll just continue this discussion on really how to build digital and how to meet customer needs and maybe take advantage of some easy revenue that's just waiting to happen. So let's bring our panelists up here. We'll start with Janet Wright, Floor Play Socks. Come on up, Janet. And Laura Jean, are you here from Fresh Collective? There we are. And we also have Raveen from, Raveen, is it the Parkdale Activity Recreation Center? Is that, yeah, perfect. So I'll introduce each of these panelists separately, but my overall theme that I'd like to say, and it builds on everything that we've heard so far. The first one is that every retailer feels like they're behind. And this is consistent. We're meeting with the world's top retailers. I spend most of my time out of our New York office right now talking to retailers with thousands of locations. And almost every one of them says the same thing. Like, oh, it'd be great if we were like Aldo, where we had better back-end systems, or it'd be great if we had more technology. So this feeling, if you're a retailer in the room right now saying, well, we're not exactly up to speed with the back-end systems or our technology, everyone feels that way. So that's message number 1. Message 2 is the bar is incredibly low. Like if back in 2000, in the internet boom that we went through, if you could have said to me 16 years from now, e-commerce is still going to be in the single digits. We saw Chris put a stat up saying 3% of retail in Toronto happens online. I've seen global stats that are somewhere in that range, maybe as high as 8%, but it's still single digits, which means over 90% of retail happens in a bricks and mortar store. So the bar is still quite low. There is opportunity to sell more online. And what's without question is that consumers, your shoppers are walking in, as everybody knows, they're walking in with more information than ever before. And their expectations are pretty high. They're just not being met in any store, whether it's your local store or a global chain. So the second message is that the bar is low. The third one is, you know what you're doing. Like, you know as a retailer exactly what you need to know. You know the shopper journey, and you know how to meet those needs. And there are very easy ways to have technology help you out with that. So that's really what we're going to explore on this panel. So let's start with Jen. Jen, you founded Floor Play Socks in, was it 2013? 2013? Can you, I guess we're sharing a mic again? Just give us, a little bit of history, how many locations, what it is that you're doing, and the journey that you've experienced.
Hi. So I started Floor Play Socks in 2013. as a hobby, as something to do after I had retired from the city of Toronto, looking for something to occupy my time. Floor Place Lock started with a location on Queen Street West. With the point of sale system, we were ready to go, ready to launch, looking for e-commerce. We joined up our e-commerce to our point of sale system, and as many other retailers will tell you, it failed, and it failed badly. It didn't launch properly, it didn't work properly. So we concentrated for 6 months on our bricks and mortar store. We sell exclusively socks, nothing other than socks. My business plan is to stick with one product and do it well and do it better than anyone else does in the city. I think we've succeeded in that. Our first store became quite successful. We launched our online store. It's a little bit more than 8% of our overall sales, and we have customers as far away as Australia. I have customers as close by as a block away. We launched our second store up at Yonge and Eglinton a year later. It's also taken off, and we're about to launch our third store in Hamilton in about a week.
Yeah, that's great. I love the name, Floor Place Locks. So now let's introduce Laura Jean. Laura Jean Bernhardson, is that right? From Fresh Collective.
Hello. So I started Fresh Collective in 2003, and what we do is specialize in fashion retail, particularly local designers. So many small lines made in Toronto, limited editions, some Montreal designers, and so on. And my first store was on Queen West in 2003, and my second store was in Kensington around 2010. I rebranded a store that was operating a little bit differently. And then 2011, I opened a store in Roncesvalles Village. So I came to, I guess given the time frame, 2003 as when I started, I came to technology kind of reluctantly. We did everything manually. I was like, this is good enough. We can just do it this way. And bit by bit, we started, putting our sales into an Excel spreadsheet at the end of the day to be able to more easily pay out the designers we work with. Just bit by bit, we started adding. And now, I don't know that there's anything we do that's not digitally handled. We have our training manuals online. We have our, our point of sale system is all linked, so we can find out what inventory is in another store and have it brought over, and so on. So we've gone from the dark ages to very modern and very much embracing digital, and that's a bit about what we do.
Yeah, that's great. And both Janet and Laura Jean are up here because they're early supporters of the Digital Main Street program. We also have Raveen with a different perspective from Parkdale Recreation Center.
Good day, folks. The organization that I work for, that I breathe, is a community nonprofit. We are down the street. We have about 70,000 square feet of space that we own. 40,000 is commercial, 30,000 is residential. And we have no products to sell. We've got an arts group that sometimes will generate one sale a month. And we own 2 books that we've written over 20 years that we sell occasionally at a park. That's the extent of our sales. We have 100 employees. Some are unionized, some are part-time, some are casual. And I'm half an IT guy, half a PR guy. And my hat says manager of IT and admin. What qualifies me for my job is I can use an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if the folks in the room are small businesses that are doing their IT because they've got an Excel spreadsheet experience. I have technology fatigue. After 10 years of 6 failed websites, 1 massive ploy at e-commerce through Moneras, PayPal, and some other stuff that just bombed. Servers in my back room that we've invested money in to be leading edge, and technology stuff that's a little bit behind. I have learned some hard lessons as the manager of technology in an environment where I have 100 staff who are the bell curve. Some people who are for technology, okay, no thank you, no way. And my experience, I have a vast amount of experiences with failure. And our main purpose is to work with the folks that are marginalized, community mental health and addictions. So the folks that are on Queen Street, downtown, they're my customers in the sense of social change. So for me, it's a great opportunity to just as a slight counterpoint to the technology needs of commerce versus the social needs of technology, that we have folks who will never likely be a customer of yours, but they're part of the community. Or organizations like ours who are trying to provide technology to their staff, who are underwhelmed by the vast amount of technology as progress and our inability to keep pace with it. Look at us.
Thank you. So we're going to keep this pretty simple. The three topics we're going to cover are success, challenges, and then some advice. So let's just start with success first. Laura Jean, I took a look at your social presence for Fresh Collected. You have almost 6,000 Facebook fans, 4,000 Twitter followers, 1,500 followers on Instagram. You've posted 1,202 photos on Instagram. So you're quite active on that. What's also impressive is you have 66 reviews on Facebook. So you've got a pretty engaged community of people following your store. Can you talk a little bit about the success or how that's impacted your business in social media, and then maybe any other ways that technology's helped you out as well?
I think for me, it's come very authentically that I've built such an engaged community online. I've been in business since 1994 as an entrepreneur, and my business has developed and changed over the years, but I have been the core of that. And I see so many of my customers who come into our stores now, and they'll be like, I bought a sweater from you, and they describe it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Like, I'm so genuinely connected with my customers and so genuinely connected with what I do. I totally, totally love what I do. So that comes across very naturally for me on the digital platforms. So I think that's a huge part of what has particular strategies to continue. For example, one of our most popular features is a style profile that we do on our blog. And we photograph them in our clothes, and then we do an interview portion with them, so they can share what they're about, share what their business is about, or what project they're working on. And those women are really representative of our customer base. So our customers really respond to that in terms of seeing different non-models in clothing, different ages, body shapes, skin tones, all different kinds of women really wearing the clothes. So that's an example of how it works. And then, of course, the bonus is that the customers, or the women who are profiled, they often buy when they come in for their photo shoot. They're trying on new different things, so it turned into a sales tool that I didn't even have. But they share it with their friends, so they're like, oh my gosh, they're putting on Facebook or tweeting, I was profiled in a Fresh Collective style profile. So there's just this really natural, organic growth that happens with those kind of strategies.
And I've been in retail tech now for, 10 years or so, and it is amazing how every success story really just comes down to what we already know about retail. My gold standard in retail is the Hugo Boss store in Manhattan. There was a guy named Sam. The first time I walked in, I bought a suit, and I walked in maybe 4 months later, and he said, Andrew, welcome back. I've been waiting for you. I have a pair of shoes for you. And it was unbelievable. I mean, he nailed it too. I was in for a belt, and he sold me a pair of shoes. And every time I walked back in, I was kind of scared of what he was going to have for me. But I was thinking, if we could replicate Sam, like if there's some way that technology could be that responsive and that helpful, rather than, like I used to sell shoes at, anybody remember Collegiate Sports? It was a retailer we had a long time ago. I sold shoes there in the 80s. And there's really no difference in the way people sell shoes today when you walk into a shoe store. I would randomly pick a shoe off the wall and try to convince you that this was the right one for you. And I was trying to be as helpful as I could, but how would I know who you are? I could ask maybe 10 questions or 15, but it's the theme that I still see is we know retail. If you know how to service customers, you know what their journey is and what they go through, there are ways that technology can help them. And social is just such an obvious one because you want your customers to use channels to do that rather than just face-to-face. Janet, I found it interesting when we were talking before, we had a phone call last week in prep for this, how you said your e-commerce percentage isn't all that high overall, but it does help, your digital presence helps to drive in-store traffic. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. What we find is that our customers go online, look at our e-commerce store, and check out what we have in stock. Then they come in the store with a list, or actually pictures taken off our online store and shop that way. I'm fortunate in that I hired a 21-year-old who does all my e-commerce pictures, all my social media, and that way I feel everything that we have that comes in our store is up to date online. For example, right now, any Blue Jay fans, we have the best Blue Jay socks in the city, but we are posting it all the time, allowing our customer who follows us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, that was the new one. They'll see the pictures of the Blue Jay socks at the baseball game or at someone's Little League kind of game. Then they come in and they go, "Oh, those Blue Jay socks I saw, where are they?" And they come in and buy a pair. So I feel that even though our online store may not be 50% of my sales, it's enough to drive people to my stores.
Yeah, and even your percentage, if it's closer to 10, it looks like Toronto is 3. This is the thing, if you feel like I'm so far behind, I'm in single digits, so is the rest of the world. That's, the other theme is that people actually aren't buying very much online, but they're absolutely walking in with more information. They're buying in your store because they want that experience. Ravine, can you tell a little bit about how digital has helped you with all of your endeavors to service the, I guess it's both commercial and residential?
One of our metrics of being a nonprofit charity is how many donors we have. And it was clear that for the first 20 years of our business, we had next to no donors. We never had that mindset of reaching out to the community. We live in a very diverse community, just being down the street, and it became important that we actually tap into those channels. And so over the last 10 years, it's about having a website that engaged, having a Facebook page, having a 21-year-old come in the summertime, courtesy of the federal government, to actually do some of that Facebooking for us, to get a Twitter account, and a brilliant student who could link a Twitter account to a Facebook feed to actually do it by itself so that you didn't have to post, because I had no staff that could post it. So just now, in a genre of employees, I was one of the people that actually had a Facebook account in my personal life, which I don't marry to my work life. It's a separate life. And so there's a deficit of resources. And I don't know who's in the audience per se, but I can imagine that you have limited time, energy, and resources, and you pick your battles of what you can do. And certainly tapping into the biggest bang for the buck, website. And the next thing was a Facebook page with 100% of the same content. There's no difference. For folks who have the ability to diversify and have different messages, but for us it got to be as having a seamless message. And we watched over 10 years the trickle effect of our donors. And these are small donations we're talking about, $50, $20, $10, $100, and it was changing. We are tied to the Ministry of Health, and that's a liability for us, that as the economy changes and the world changes, people want to give, and being a local community agency, we'd love for you to give to us. Sick Kids is a big place, United Way is a big place. We're a little place in a big world, and we have a huge impact, but we got to learn to communicate better with you as folks as donors, and so as a technology tool. It's an important piece of our work.
That's great. Okay, well let's wrap this up maybe just with a few words of advice from our two retailers. Speaking to the retailers in the room, do you have any overall advice to give? We'll start with Archie.
I guess my advice, you mentioned website is number one. If you don't have a website, that would be a must. A Facebook page and a newsletter list. So those three things would be where I would say focus your energy on if you're just starting out. And follow it through. It's not just about having those things, it's about using them and creating interesting and exciting content that engages people. So really, for me, it's a lot of fun. It's like taking what I do best when I'm in the store one-on-one with people, communicating with them, but then getting to amplify it. So whatever I'm super excited about, I get to really shout about it to the world. And so I guess rather than being overwhelmed, keep it small, what you're taking on, and just keep working on it to make it really exciting and engaging.
And my advice would be to take the best of what you do and put it online so that your customers can see it. Another little bit of advice, we purchased a point-of-sale e-commerce system when we first started, before we even opened. We're about to switch that to another company, and I think the best advice I could give a new retailer would be to really research before you buy a product. and make sure it fits all the needs that you're going to have in the future, not necessarily just when you start, and then just have fun with it.
That's great. And my advice is to talk to the vendors that are here. I think, Chris, the next step is a technology showcase. I'd like to thank Chris Rickard and Jovanna Champion. You guys have been amazing with this. We have Larissa here from Kinetic who's also been helping out with this whole initiative. It's an honor to be able to help Toronto businesses with whatever aspect of technology and advice we can give. Thank you very much for including us in this program. Thanks.